Hi, I'm Katie Prejean, author of Room 24, Adventures of a New Evangelist. We gotta make sure the camera gets my good side, because it's all about me. It's all about me talking to you today. It's all about me announcing who I am, because I'm obviously the best. I'm clearly the best at evangelization. And that's the point where they're gonna cut the camera off and they're gonna say, absolutely not, what are you doing? Well, obviously I'm making a point, talking about humility. See, anybody that walks into a room and says, look at me, good old Christian that I am, get my good side, make sure that you're paying attention to what it is that I'm saying, because it's all about what I have to say, we're not going to get anywhere. There's a great prayer for people like that. It's a prayer that I pray on a regular basis. It's a prayer that always knocks me down a couple of rungs, and it's the litany of humility. Look it up, and be prepared to be made small. Be prepared for Christ to take you down a few pegs, because we need to recognize that we're not sharing ourselves when we evangelize. We're not getting our good side or announcing our own self-righteousness. We're the tax collector in the corner, quietly praying, begging for mercy. We, as evangelizers, have to recognize that we're pencils in the hands of God. We're not the sharpener. We're not even the lead. He's holding us and using us. And we have to recognize that when we are humble, we are imitating Christ in the most radical of ways. And what did Christ do? He didn't step into earth and shoot lightning bolts out of his eyes and announce, I am God, believe in me. He allowed himself to be made small, a tiny baby that had to be nursed. Jesus had to learn how to walk. Jesus had to learn how to talk. Jesus had to be rocked to sleep. And he continued to make himself small all throughout life. He didn't ascend a throne and grab a scepter and take political power. He made himself a rabbi, a preacher among these people that's then executed for crimes against the state, a man who allowed himself to be crucified in such a radical way to show us that we can be broken and made small for his greater will. See, when we evangelize and we become humble, if we want to actually share the truth, we have to accept and realize that he's going to use us as he sees fit. He's going to use us in ways that require us to be made small, in ways that require us to trust his greater will. Now, just a couple of weeks ago, I was in New York for the New York Catholic Youth Day. It's an event with 1,750 high school students in a tent, on a Saturday afternoon at 2:30, gorgeous 75-degree weather, and I, the southern kid from Louisiana, takes the stage after a hip-hop Hispanic rap group had just performed for 45 minutes. Beach balls have been flying, kids have been jumping, and here comes the teacher from Lake Charles talking about Jesus for the next hour. As far as I was concerned, I tanked. I bombed it. It was the worst keynote they'd ever heard, I'd ever given. Nobody should ever hand me a microphone again. I almost called Catholic TV and said, cancel the blink. You don't want me on your program. I'm the worst. Well, I was feeling pretty down because I thought that everything I had done had totally destroyed the faith. That the talk that I gave, that the kids didn't seem to be listening to, the talk that I was giving while monitors weren't working and technology was breaking, that it had destroyed the faith of some of the people in that audience. Just a couple of days later, I'm sitting at my house, moping still, and I get a message on Instagram from somebody that had been at the conference, thanking me for what I'd said, telling me that for just the past couple of days she had taken some of the advice I'd given in the talk and had started reading scripture every night before she went to bed. See, sometimes we're made humble, sometimes we are humiliated, sometimes we are made small, the same way that Christ was made small on this cross, the same way that Christ was humiliated as he died. And then we see that there's triumph later on. We see that when we embrace humility, he can use us in a bigger way. We can see that we go through the Good Friday to get to Easter Sunday, that we are broken so that we can then be made whole. So my encouragement and challenge to you is not to walk around with this self-righteous, oh, look at me attitude in your evangelization. But in this humble way, embrace his will, trust what he has in store for you, and recognize that you won't always win, but he will always succeed. To find out more, read Room 24, Adventures of a New Evangelist. Thanks so much.